Everyone, thank you for coming to today's breakfast. Again, my name is Joe Adebato. I'm the Director of Counseling here at Burlington High School. Today is going to be pretty informal, really. The reason we're filming it is just in case we did receive a few emails from parents that couldn't make it, but a lot of this information is pretty easily accessible. So the topic of today is just the scholarship program. I was just going to kind of do basically a rundown, and feel free to ask questions as I'm moving along. And hopefully, again, we can answer all the questions that you have around how this all functions. So just to start, with the Burlington Scholarship Program, it's not one agency, it's not one group deciding on all these scholarships. It is multiple groups, multiple organizations that are deciding on scholarships. So please know that it's not one particular person kind of managing the whole thing. The way the school is involved is we certainly provide the donors with all the information like transcripts, activity lists, and then we coordinate Scholarship Awards Night, which is always the Thursday before graduation. And invitations for that for students that are recipients would usually go out about a week and a half to 2 weeks before that. So unfortunately, not every student receives a scholarship. It just happens from year to year. And partly because there are students that don't go to college. We have students that don't apply, but a lot of students that do apply have a higher likelihood of receiving something. So that's kind of the overarching picture I wanted to provide, so everyone kind of has context that it's multiple groups in town. So this is obviously a time when seniors have heard decisions back from colleges. They're going through that process. Some know, some are still deciding. But for the most part, many seniors have checked out from any kind of application process. So that's why it's great parents can get involved in this part, because these applications, I think, are important as well. And these applications are not nearly as extensive as the college applications, okay? So what we've tried to do over the years with this process too is we've tried to simplify it as best we can. And so all the scholarships that we're affiliated with, the town of Burlington, the way they're paid out is they are paid out in freshman year of college, all right? And it's usually paid out in the spring of freshman year, okay? So we oftentimes will need a spring tuition statement, so we'll have seniors. I think a lot of the donors and organizations in town want to see that students have actually attended college for a semester before they contribute. So on like Scholarship Awards Night, for example, students don't get like an envelope of cash. They get a letter with not only how to claim the scholarship, like where to send the tuition bill, but the other important piece is to send a thank you. And for whatever reason, more and more we hear from donors that they're not receiving thank yous. So just keep that in mind, that your son or daughter to send a thank you. And so I also want to introduce Teresa Kavanaugh. She's the secretary here in the counseling office, but she also works very closely with a scholarship program in town called the Burlington Community Scholarship Foundation. That, again, is one of the organizations that donate scholarships, and they donate several scholarships to Burlington High School seniors. I want to say 20 or 30 scholarships, and so Teresa's affiliated with that organization, which we'll talk about that application as well. And she processes transcripts. She helps to make sure everything is set. When we collect applications, the donors have told us, they prefer it kind of in a certain manner, like transcripts, applications, kind of everything alphabetized, everything neat. And so Teresa does all that and prepares that for the donor. And sends things out to the donor, all right? So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna jump into, I guess for lack of a better word, the one-stop shop of all the applications. Does anyone have any questions so far? No? Okay. So there are two ways to access this. I did send out an email on Parent Square a couple of weeks ago that had this information. I'll probably send another follow-up again after this, today or tomorrow. So parents, and a reminder to students. I did have an assembly with students as well. And at the assembly, we talked about this process. And we went to a couple of websites. So this is something parents have access to. So this is SCORE. This is our college management program. But we also use it for scholarships. And within SCORE, you are brought to a link. I should back up a sec. So this is the home page. So I went to my profile. I went to view profile, if you can see that there. So I clicked on view profile. Now I'm in a different section. Whoop. And all we're doing in the SCORE drive under the profiles, over to the left, it just says drive. So I click on that. All right. So again, in SCORE, it takes you to this SCORE drive. And then we click on it. And then this is it right here. This is the document, all right? That has been updated. This is live as of this morning. So Teresa updates it. Some of the donors don't, a lot of the donors provide us with applications. Some donors use our application. And so a lot of the applications in terms of translation, if anyone needs anything translated, they could certainly let us know. So this is simply the listing of the various scholarships, and it links to the applications of those scholarships, all right? So I'm just going to go down through a few of them, just so you're aware. So the very first one you can see is the Dollars for Scholars, the Community Scholarship Foundation in town. They give out a lot of scholarships, all right? I think I said 20, but it's more like 60 or 70.
There's 80-something on there.
Oh, 80-something. So this particular application, it's an online application, puts students in the running for up to 80 scholarships, all right? And it's an organization that has been in existence. Well, I don't want to steal Jack's thunder. Jack is in here, but I'm going to let Jack Ferrin is the chair of this particular foundation, and he stopped by. I thought I saw him walk in. You're quick. But Jack, do you want to talk a little about the foundation and the process?
Sure. Oh boy, BCAT's here too, I'm in trouble.
Yep.
Just remember, I'm union, it's gonna cost you. I'm only kidding. Oh, I don't, do I need this? Okay. Oh, okay, for BCAT. Anyway, good morning. Brian Curtin, your town treasurer collector, who just retired 2 years ago, with Joan Miles and Steve Miles, started this organization in 1988. To date, we've awarded $12.6 million in scholarships. Scholarships go to Burlington residents. Not everyone goes to college. The monies go for college scholarships, and they also go for the trades, equipment, apprentice programs, and tools. We're very proud of that. We work really hard. We have what we call, like Joe likes to call it, the buckets, right, Joe? So where do the donations come from? They come from corporate America. Corporate America is quite different lately. It's a little difficult to raise dollars for scholars. It's very difficult. Another example is we have the clubs and the organizations in Burlington. So we have Burlington Rotary, we have the Breakfast Club, the Luncheon Club, we have Burlington Youth Baseball, we have the wrestling, we have the Hockey and Skating Association, baseball, all of those types of organizations, and they give back. The Pop Warner, the cheerleaders and everything. So if you're involved in that. Like here at the high school, they have for the members of the band and the drama club and things like that, and DECA, they all have their own awards, right? I have a foundation in memory of my parents, the Farron Memorial. I run a golf tournament every year, so if you play in my tournament or you're a sponsor, we give out scholarships. Then we have memorial scholarships. We have endowment funds. There are many people that taught here at Burlington High, that were in the school system, that grew up in Burlington, that built Burlington. If you're not from Burlington, if you were to look through the list, you'll see that some of the people that did build the town of Burlington that were here, they paid for the memorial school back in the old days. There were farms here in Burlington, and their memory lives on. Like recently, rest his soul, Al Fay, Burlington firefighter, president of the union. He was a selectman. He was on the planning board. He was on the scholarship foundation. There isn't anything that man didn't do. He's the guy who drove the fire truck for the tree lighting ceremony. And we keep his memory alive through a scholarship. So we have 4 to 5 different types of buckets of monies that come in here. And we're affiliated with Scholarship America, which is the largest scholarship organization in the United States. We're a not-for-profit 501c3e, okay? So we are a charitable organization. And we're kicking off what we call a donor campaign, actually, the first week of April, trying to raise funds. Years ago, we did a telethon, and we have a graduate who graduated Burlington High School, Jack Blaze, who used to match our funds for the telethon. Well, guess what? That stuff doesn't work anymore. Things have changed. We have social media, and I know most of you, you're involved in sports, clubs, organizations. If you look on Facebook, let's face it, how many raffles are going on right now? It's really, right? We're all trying to double dip and triple dip. So our goal is this, to raise $1 for every scholar. Right? It sounds like a cliche or a catch. It's not. We work really hard. Teresa's our secretary on the board. She'll tell you. I mean, she works endless hours. Debbie Keene, who's not feeling well, is not here today. She's been on the board. I've been there since, I don't know, 1993 or 91, something like that. I'm a Burlington High School graduate. That's when we used to walk to school both ways. No, I'm only kidding. But anyway, just kidding. So what we do is, Joe and I sign a letter together. Joe orchestrates the letter, and we solicit corporate America, okay? Corporate America, everyone says, well, let's go to Oracle, and then the old days when Sun Micro was here and all these other companies and Leahy Clinic. Well, it's really great, but they all have these foundations, including myself, Cambridge Savings Bank, that you have to do all these grants. They're not giving to the high school every year. It's a lot of work. Back in the day when we had the car dealership come here, Mercedes-Benz of Burlington, they offered us $15,000 a year. Well, guess what? He sold it. He's now a state senator. He's good friends with our current president and vice president. And we're not getting that money anymore. So now Joe and I have to find a way to find that money. When Millipore built their world headquarters here, they gave us $150,000. So we're giving out $15,000 a year for 10 years. I write grants every year. I just wrote a grant again for the Kraft Foundation in memory of Myra Kraft, for one of our volunteers on the board. She's not here, and I'll tell you who it is. It's Rose Hatch, does endless hours of community service. I think it's the 15th year in a row I've applied. Will we get it this year? I don't know, but I write grants all year. That's what we do. So we're always trying to raise dollars for scholars, and again, to recap, the buckets come from the following. Corporate America, private donors like myself, the Farron family, your clubs, your organizations, your youth groups, and then the memorials. It all adds up to a whole bunch of money. What's the whole bunch of money? $12.6 million. That's a lot of money. Something you also need to know about, too, is we have an adult scholarship program. So if your children go to college, and they go in the fall, after they're in school a year, we have adult awards. It's not a lot of money, but there are $2,000 awards available. Or you do what I did. I went back to school at age 49, and that was a while ago, and I'm still in school, finishing my doctorate. But I can tell you this, If you go back to school and start a new degree, or you finish a degree like I did, we're here to help you for that too. So what we're trying to do is, I had this conversation last night. We had a function at headquarters, and I was trying to explain this woman that runs the charitable organization for Cambridge Savings Bank, and I said, here's what we do. After Joe and Teresa put on this wonderful scholarship night, we all sit down and get together and say, what can we do better, right? Because there was a time that the scholarships went to Burlington High School students. Well, there are Burlington residents. They go to private schools. They go to trade schools. They go to charter schools. They're Burlington residents. You're Burlington taxpayers. So we made that adjustment. And then we realized not everyone goes to school, right? They go to trade school. They don't go to college. They might go to trade school. Now we have a new situation. If you go to a community college, that's free. But you have books, computers, and fees. So now we offer to help that. So every year we do a recap. And we're always available. You can find us online, okay? Burlington Community Scholarship Foundation, bcsfds.org. You can always find us, and you can see the information about what we do. And each year we strive to get better and make the needs of the students. And the only thing I can tell you as a parent that put 2 through this program, 1 graduated Shawshene and 1 graduated here. Parents, you need to have your children do their applications for everything that they think they possibly could qualify for. You need to apply for everything that's there. There's nothing worse. I will never forget this as long as I live. A gentleman that worked at Town Hall with my father stopped me outside of the high school. I must have been, let's see, I've been sitting on stage now for, I don't know, 35 years. So 30 years ago, he stopped me outside out here and he said, hey, my kid didn't get a scholarship and I worked with your dad and I played in a golf tournament. I said, your daughter never applied. I mean, what can I do? If you don't apply, you don't get. You have to fill everything out. And this is the most difficult time of year. Joe probably talked about this. This is the most difficult time of year, right? They have applications. They have essays, right? Then they have the prom. I mean, graduation. There's so much going on. What school do I go to? I know it's a lot of work. You have to be patient, okay? I'm on the other end. I'm dealing with college students and grad students who are trying to apply to stay in school and get their degrees. So I see this, and I went through it with 2 children here. And I can just tell you, you have to be patient. And before I go, you know what? Thank you very much, Teresa and Joe, for all you do. Give them a nice big hand. I'm telling you, they do a great job. So with that, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Jack. So again, it's a foundation that has been, and we want to thank Jack too. He really does a lot for the community and has done a lot for this program over the years. He's been the president now for did you say how many years? At least 15, 12.
I lost a bet and ended up as president.
So again, in this particular program that Jack's referring to is just one of many different scholarships. So what I wanted to do first is this particular scholarship that we're talking about now, the foundation, is linked. It's the very first scholarship listed, but it's linked. This particular application it's an online application. We have others below this that we link a PDF. There's PDFs linked. All right. So what I'll do first is let's check out the Burlington Community Scholarship Foundation application process. All right, so it's taking us to the website, okay? Takes us right to where students log in. And many of the counselors have done this with students already. But again, this is something parents can certainly help with. Students need to create an account, all right? And we just ask that you kind of read, you can see in red the goals and aspirations. It's an essay. Please write an essay detailing your plans as they relate to educational and career objectives. It's got to be 250 to 300 words. All right, so that is one of the essays. A lot of students have a college essay that they can tweak to fit this. There's also an unusual circumstances essay that's not required, but some students will complete that, okay? So I'm going to log in. Hopefully my login still works as a student. All right, so this is the website, and students will primarily be working right here, work on profile. All right, don't worry about this percentage. I wish I could remove that. The percentage has nothing to do with your ability to apply to the scholarship application. So I'm just going to click work on profile. All right, and then for those that know what the Common App is, it's very similar. Again, on the left-hand side, you're just basically filling in as much information as you can, all right? You really want to make sure, a lot of the scholarships are tied to address or high school, so putting in your correct address is very important. Because what happens is, once this information is in, the next step will be to click a button, and then it links you up to all these scholarships, which I'll show you. But if you have the wrong address in there, it's not going to link up. You won't see any scholarships. And so this is where you would click on the essay. You would, again, copy and paste it in. Transcripts, do not worry about transcripts. We will take care of that. Teresa takes care of that. We try to make things a little easy. This goes for not just this application, but all the others. Don't request paper copy transcripts. Don't come down and request 15 transcripts for different scholarships. We collect the application and we'll take care of the transcript. It's much easier that way. So we've tried to shut off the emails, but students may get emails, your transcripts have not been uploaded yet. Don't worry about it. We will take care of the transcripts. References, we will also take care of references for the most part. There might be some, so this not only works for local scholarships, this program might put students, connect students with state and national level scholarships too. And so they may ask for a reference, so you would just put the person's email in for the reference. But the local scholarships don't require one. And then the financial information, you do not need to put that in. All right, most of the scholarships that we see here at Need Blind, for the most part, a lot of the, well, with this particular program, it's Need Blind. So in other words, you can certainly put the information in if you choose to, but it would probably be matching you to some state or national scholarships. So financial info is not required, okay? So let's just say I've gone through, I filled out everything I can. I'm going to click on My Scholarships. All right, and the seniors had an assembly, by the way, going over this. So, did you add an eligibility question about softball? Oh, all right. So this is a one-time question you'd be asked when you initially hit that My Scholarship. So if a student's never done this, it's asking me two questions. Do you play softball at Burlington High School? You could probably figure out what type of scholarship that's for. And then the next one is, did you attend Marshall Simons? And I had already previously answered that as yes. All right. So these are just called custom eligibility questions. I'm just going to submit just questions that everyone has to answer. So now I'm taken to a different page. All right, and you can see through this process, these are all the scholarships that students can apply for. And you literally just click apply on the right. They even make it, you can even make it a step easier. You can just click this button up here, apply to all scholarships with a red apply button. All right?
Do that one.
Yeah, right. Now, some you notice you can't click on it. The reason is because you have to answer a question. So let's look at the BEA. We're going to see what the question is. Do you have a parent, grandparent that is a member of the BEA? If so, please list their name and school. All right, so you can probably figure out what that scholarship is for. Okay? There are others that have questions too. So if I hit that apply all, it would apply to everything except the ones that need questions. Sons of Italy is most likely asking if someone's a member. Leahy Clinic, if students have volunteered there. So there's a lot of scholarships here. I personally think it's easier to click apply all, even though some of them may still require a specific major. For example, Leahy might be looking at students that were a health major, perhaps, but I still would recommend just to apply all in this program. Does anyone have any questions on this website? Yes.
I looked at it over the weekend, and on the GPA section, I wasn't sure, it said something about, does the school use a weighted GPA, and if so, what is it? And then when I looked at my daughter's, I looked on Aspen, it's like I could see her current GPA, but then I don't know how to find out the GPA from each year in high school.
You don't need the GPA from each year,
It's just the final. Just the final GPA.
current GPA.
And then it wanted to know something about the schools, do they use a weighted GPA, or and on what scale, but I had no idea what that meant.
It is, we use a weighted 4.0 scale.
A weighted 4.
Yep. And that's the same question on the Common App. That's a question that Common App asks as well. Is there any other questions?
Has this been updated like recently? Because I looked at it this weekend too, and when we got to this point, there were only like two that she was like qualified for?
Yes, it did get updated.
Okay.
It did. There was a glitch in the system. We had to fix something. No one told us it was a glitch.
Thank you.
The activities sheet, is that the same as the Common App, or is that like a different?
Activity sheet is for another application, which I'll get to, but this one, you list the activities in the program. It would be nice to just upload the activity list here, but again, these applications are more tedious than anything else. Than they, I think it's a simple process, but just a little tedious. All right, so I'm just going to shift away from the Community Scholarship Foundation scholarship. Again, that links you out to that particular website, so you can log in and make a profile. The other scholarships, I'm just going to point out a few. Again, we're not going to go through all of them, but we try to spell out on all the applications the deadline. And so everything's right around April 1st. All right, but I know Teresa tries to make sure we have the due date on every application, so you know. A lot of the applications are linked up as PDF documents. Again, some, like the foundation, are links to a website, but let's take a look at this particular one, Burlington Hockey Alumni, so it's going to take me to their application, all right? And every application's a little bit different, okay? The other one I'm going to point out is Adopt a Class, because this is always a big one that parents and students ask out. How many have heard of Adopt a Class? All right, so this is when you cash in on that, okay? And Jack mentioned this, but we have several students that never have contributed all those hours. Parents contributed all those hours, kindergarten through 8th grade, and then students contribute in high school, and then they don't apply. So try not to let that happen if your child or you have been involved in Adopt a Class. The application is basically pretty straightforward. There's no essay component. It's just listing your activities that you've been involved in K through 12. And Teresa has a binder here in the office if you haven't documented that information. And on another note, Teresa has been running either before or after school or flex help sessions for seniors. So if seniors have questions, they can schedule to see Teresa or any of the counselors. But Adopt a Class is one that you really want to make sure you check to see what events you've contributed. And what happens is When all the applications are collected, everything is verified. And then whoever has the most hours, that student or students, they would get a scholarship in that amount. And then that kind of sets the bar for all the other students after that. So what's the minimum amount of hours you need to get?
2 hours per year would be 8. If they miss a year, they have to do 16. There's one final event on April 6th for seniors. All the other events are after the application comes in. So the request of volunteers will go out on Monday. If you have a senior that is part of the program, it's being reserved for seniors for the first week and then open up to underclassmen after that. It's at Eddie V's. They get a really good meal out of the deal, so.
Okay, again, that's another organization in town for scholarships, and they total about, so the foundation, Jack, what's the foundation give out from year to year, about 80,000? What's the foundation give out? Just the foundation, it's, the BCSF awards.
Our total has gone in the 420 range.
Yeah, right.
Every year is different based on
The total.
our class program is, the goal is each graduating class has a minimum of $30,000 to $35,000 to be distributed.
That's what I was looking for.
I should know that and poor Teresa has people like this, the Adopt a Class program is a community service award specifically donating service to the schools. Doesn't count for any of your
Needs to be approved.
activities or any other volunteer hours. It's specifically for the schools.
So,
There's one other caveat that I'll add to that. We do understand there are students, like Teresa mentioned, you're supposed to do 2 hours per year. It's only 8 hours, right? 8 hours is really a lot of time for students that are involved in sports and, religious activities and things like that. If a student transfers to Burlington, or a student has a medical situation that they miss a year, we work with them to make sure that they're on track so that they don't lose out, because years past before Joe and Teresa got involved, and even myself, there were students that missed something because of a medical condition, or they were transferred in and they didn't qualify. So again, that's another thing that we BCAT at the end of the year. As far as what we give Joe, every year is different. I just went in front of the Board of Selectmen, they're asking me, well, how many scholarships out of 12.6 million? It's like,
yeah,
there's so many, but we know that everything has 3 zeros at the end.
right. And what the point I was trying to make too is like Adopt a Class, that's kind of from a different bucket, So that from year to year has about 30 or so thousand for that particular class. And again, the fundraising has been happening from kindergarten through grade 12. Question?
I just wonder if you could repeat when the event is that seniors can volunteer for. Because of the band program in the fall, my kids still have not gotten their senior year hours in.
Sunday, April 6th.
Sunday, April 6th? Okay. And the sign-up starts Monday?
I'm gonna put it out for some money, yeah.
Okay. Wonderful.
You will.
So again, I'm not gonna go through all of them. And we do have a lot of memorial scholarships too, which I think is great. You heard Jack say he does a memorial scholarship. It's a great way for families to allow someone, whether it's whether it was a spouse, parent, good friend, whatever the case may be. There are a lot of memorial scholarships as well that we have here at the school. And so those would be posted here as well. And we have another scholarship that is called the Burlington General. This is a link, again, this links you out, but it just links you to a Google Doc. This is another scholarship application that puts seniors in the running for about 15 to 20, it changes from year to year. So what happens from time to time, and we just got an email from a donor last night that wants to do a nursing scholarship. What happens from time to time is donors don't necessarily want to create their own application, so they ask us to help them. So we put together this general application. It asks a whole bunch of questions, but there may be a donor that says to us, we would like to see everyone that is majoring in nursing, that has a 2.5 or better. And so we'll go to this list, pull the list, add the transcript, send it to the donor, and then the donor decides and lets us know. So by you and your child completing this, you're giving us the authorization to do that. And so again, this one puts students in the running for about 15 to 20. Besides this general application and the foundation application, most other applications are just for one scholarship. Do you know what I mean? So, and they're all listed here. They all have different applications. I mean, if, you could always just print this thing out and just kind of go through it that way. Town of Burlington tax checkoff. Sure, everyone pays taxes in town, but you have the ability on your tax bill to, Julian, you have the ability to donate to this tax checkoff. And so that money goes into an account with the town. And they have scholarships that they give every year. There's a committee that reviews the applications, and then they select. And just like the foundation too, it's blind, meaning they don't know who the students are. They're blacked out. Another thing that Teresa graciously does, blacks out names and things like that, so the committee can do it kind of in a blind manner. But that one, it changes based on the amount of money that comes in. Last year, they were $2,500 scholarships. That may or may not change. Amounts are subject to change on this. Like Jack mentioned that Mercedes-Benz was giving $10,000 a year, so two $5,000 scholarships. Then that gentleman that was there, Bernie Marino, left. He became a state rep in Ohio, I think. And then a new person took over, new organization took over. And they have given a scholarship, but they give a $1,000 award. So we lost a little there. So money comes in, money goes out, amounts change a little bit, but still that shouldn't impact your ability to apply.
If there's not an application under one of the organizations, it's because they have not renewed for this year. They still could right up to the last minute. So keep checking on this, but this might be the full list.
Like Jack had mentioned, his family scholarship, that's posted in here. Again, there's some pretty substantial sized awards here, but the awards vary, anywhere from a $400 award all the way up to a $5,000 award. And again, I think just about every scholarship on here would be paid out in the spring of freshman year in college. So that is pretty much it. Just know that, and we'll send an email out after with a link to this. But now I'm going to open it up just for any other questions that that anyone has. Yes.
I guess everybody can apply to all of this, so you're gonna probably have a lot of application. What is the criteria? How do you choose? How do they choose? Let's say they have 50 students apply, the same major. What is the deciding?
For a private scholarship, like for the private scholarship?
Yeah.
It depends.
Private scholarship, they would go through the students' resumes and activity sheet and decide on their own. BCSF, it's blind, so they just look at a transcript and read the essay and go on that.
I think it depends on the scholarship, like Teresa said. So they're gonna, if they have 50 applicants, they're gonna have to narrow it down, right? It could be based on activities primarily, who's been involved in what type of activities that relate to the scholarship, or some it's GPA. If you have a higher GPA, then you'll make a different cut. And then, like Teresa said, essay, quality of the essay, what you're writing about, that type of thing. It can boil down to that too. Some can just be like adopted classes, just based on hours, and that's it.
So just how do they get, so their activity list, do they attach it for that Burlington General, or do they
There's an upload for it.
They can upload it, okay. And then all the PDF ones, they have to like print those out and then attach an activities and deliver it to the.
Correct.
Yep, that's a good point. So the PDF applications, if you have 7 or 8, you don't need to request 7 or 8 transcripts. Just attach the activity list. And even for letters of recommendation, you may not have this, your child may not have a copy of that. If they know there's a particular teacher, they could just write, Mrs. Palmer on it and we'll add it. Or you could just write any teacher and we'll add that up if you don't have the recommendation.
So the PDF ones, do they bring here for you to attach the transcripts? And then I know the Dollars for Scholars, you apply online, but then I know we don't do, put the transcript in.
You don't.
Does that go to you then?
Yes,
Yeah.
I am on the back end of that.
You're on the back.
And we wait till
I'm
it,
not part of that committee though, but I'm on the
Yeah,
back end
so
of
that's like, you would actually
providing.
see it and then, okay, thank you.
I know
and we
what
wait until it closes. So it closes
My
first.
daughter missed she was sick on the day of the darn assembly too. So
But this is all I went over. I just went over I went over this doc, so, and you still have time, April 1st. The only other thing is, and even if for this group, let it sink in, if you could try to avoid April 1st as time to bring everything down,
I have a line
that would be
item.
great, if you could.
Because I go through every single application. I flip through when they turn them into me. I'm like, oh, you're missing.
What we
So-
try to do is try to get it to the donors in enough time, because there's a lot more to the process even after the selection happens.
Yeah, about the teacher recommendations, you said something, do they need to go ask teachers for recommendation, or they can use the recommendation for
From college.
for applying for college?
Yes, you can use the same recommendation used for college.
Okay, thank you.
Joe, if they add any additional scholarships, I know Teresa, I think you said this was kind of what the list is right now. If there were additional ones added, is it up to the student to then go out and kind of refresh this periodically, or are there alerts?
So on Scholarship America, if you've already gone through and you hit apply all, and you want to just check it, the last, whatever, there is a verify eligibility. If you click that, anything that gets added there should pop up. As far as this doc, anything I'm adding now, I'm trying to, Joe, if you go back to the top, I'm trying to put the date that I added the scholarship. So if you know the last time you looked was March 2. Well, something's on March, I think Soul Sisters was the one I just put up. So you added 3/11, that's how you would know.
Nothing gets added though after the April 1st deadline, correct?
No. And if it does, then we probably send something out to Parent Square.
Okay.
If something last minute, like last year, Soul Sisters came up really late in the process.
Okay.
Like almost even after. I don't even think I don't know how that one got on our books, but yeah, that one came in really late last year. And like I said, Papuana hasn't replied back. And there was a maid in Burlington did one last year. I haven't heard, I talked to the woman, she says she's gonna do it, but until I get that application, we're stuck.
I don't think we've heard from baseball yet either, right?
Nope, we haven't had
Baseball.
baseball for a couple of years.
If you know anyone, feel free to let them know. Give us a call. Baseball?
But we just created a board last year. So.
Oh, all right.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it
maybe
went
next
away-
year you can jump back in.
Yeah, I think it went away in 2020, so.
But again, in a lot of the PTOs donate as well. That's another group in town that is able to donate, so. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have a question. For adopt a class, my daughter works in the theater crew. Does it count? No, it doesn't count for anything.
Sorry.
The way the events, they're publicized, she puts them on the announcements. And they're adopt a class events. There's a sign-in sheet, a whole process. I see a hand over there.
Is the activity sheet that they upload the one that they do for school, or is it a resume? Can it be either? Or
Either.
Either. The binder for adopt a class, is there a way, like, I can go through it, just double verify the date?
The only thing I don't have updated are parent hours quite yet. I'm still waiting on some sheets from last year's all-night grad party. So if you, as a parent, volunteered at the all-night grad party or anything last year, just please let me know, and I'll try to verify with Karen.
And the last question is, my kid did 8 hours, but did it in 2 years, that doesn't count, it has to be 2 every year, otherwise 16 total. Okay.
So this is the local scholarship. Does this include state level and federal level?
Students can certainly research and look at state level and national level scholarships. I will show you, there are some down below, and you can put the effort and energy into those. We have no problem with students doing that. I've found over the years that they're very hard to get. I have seen students get them, but there's a lot of effort that has to be devoted to some of these applications. And if you scroll down, you can see we actually have state and national scholarships. If you look down below, you could certainly take a look at some of those awards. But it's a little bit harder to get because now you're in a pool of state or nationally. So I don't want to discourage anyone from applying, just being honest what I've seen over the years, but you certainly take a look, and if you see something that fits and your child is motivated to fill out those applications, then I would certainly encourage that.
Joe, I had a quick tip for parents. I went through this. When you're doing an application, and on the application they ask you about scholarships, unless you know you're certain you're getting a scholarship, do not disclose. If you think you're getting something, don't put it down there. It's going to have an adverse effect on your student aid. That's held against you, just so you know. If you know you're getting one, you have to disclose it. If you're not sure and you're applying for a whole bunch, don't put it down unless you know exactly, positively you're getting it. Because the schools have their budgets. I know, I work at Riviera University, I'm just telling you, okay? Don't put it down unless you know you're definitely getting money, because it will have an adverse effect.
All right. Any other questions? Well, you can certainly email me or Teresa if you have any questions at all. I'll stick around just to answer any other questions. But I am going to stick around, but I'm going to be out in the hallway just because we have to prep this room for something else that's happening in about 20 minutes. But feel free to take anything for the road, and I'll be out in the hallway to answer any questions that anyone has. And thank you all for coming.